I'll play a clip from Sha'Carri from the mix zone. So Sha'Carri was asked, do you consider yourself a role model?
You've inspired people. Do you see yourself as a role model?
Yes, I do. At this point, I have accepted that role because of the fact people need someone. And I have to learn that. I've learned that. Like, people need that. Somebody has to be able to step out there and be that sacrifice, that one to lead the way. And I have no problem with that sacrifice. I'll take all of that. If that means the generations after me can come into this game feeling like themselves and express that. They don't feel like they have to be in the bubble. They don't feel like social media is pressuring them and crushing them, because at the end of the day, you are who you are and you have to hold on firmly to that. Because if not, the world will crumble you down. So I'm standing tall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought those were some interesting words. She talks about the social media pressure. She's like, essentially, I'm fine with it. If you don't know who you are, you'll get crushed. And then it comes out yesterday, Sydney McLaughlin has this pretty emotional, I don't want to say it's a cry for help, but she recorded this video a couple days after the Olympic trials where she breaks the world record. And in it, I mean, we got to play some clips from it, I think, or at least essentially she's like, my friends, my family, people.
I have some quotes here, Weldon, that I can read off. This is one of them. She said, I felt like the people I thought would be the most excited for me literally almost didn't even care that she broke the world record. And I have some really great people in my life that love me more than I can say some family loves me. And I'm just going to be real, it hurts. I'm still to this point just not understanding when it's going to be enough for a lot of people. And then she's also talked about social media. She has a lot of followers, but she said, I'm grateful for the platform. I'm grateful to be able to reach people, but I don't want it. Like, when I tell you I don't want fame, I don't want any of that. It's toxic. It genuinely physically makes me sick. When I got back on social media for 3 or 4 weeks before the trials, I started getting anxiety because you look and you're looking at what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is posting, how many followers they have, and it physically makes you sick. I don't want that. I don't want the fame. I just want a little bit of respect. And one last thing she said is, she is very well compensated, obviously, by New Balance. She gets a lot of attention on these U.S. track and field broadcasts, the Olympics or any sort of U.S. meet. They'll always talk about and interview Sydney McLaughlin. And this is for a couple reasons, but she's obviously a humongous talent. But also, she pointed out, it blows my mind. People who've been my teammates who've watched me die every day at practice believe that I'm standing here today because I have followers. I can't control who presses the follower button, but it can control what I do on that track. And that's the thing that doesn't get respect, and it blows her mind. It sounded like there are people in her life who say she gets this attention and money and fame, not just because she's good at running, but because she has a lot of social media followers, because she's beautiful. Even, she said, because she's a light-skinned African-American woman. So it was a very interesting video. I'd recommend you listen to it, because Sydney McLaughlin is normally someone who's very guarded in interviews. She puts on a very nice face, doesn't put a step wrong. And this was a side of Sydney McLaughlin we'd never seen before.
Yeah, it was tough to watch. I mean, there's so many people, I don't know, on top of the world that aren't enjoying it. Go back and watch the tape when Sydney sets the world record and wins the Olympic gold. It didn't look like she was having a good time. And, buddy was texting me about that at the time. It's kind of crazy. And, Simone Biles and others, it's like, it's too much for it. That's why I find Sha'Carri, whatever you think of her, she's at least enjoying it. She enjoys being the social media star, and maybe she's more going to, she's almost at this point. I don't think it's fair. Someone could say she's more a reality star than she is track star. I don't think that's fair at all, because if you adjust for the wind, she ran a 10:69. She actually had the second best mark of anyone in the world at this point this year. She just didn't get her peak right, and she's faster at her age than Elaine Thompson-Herah was, or Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. But, Sydney is not back to Sydney. She's not the first person that's really struggling, sort of seemingly on top of the world, but it's not satisfying. Social media is tough, and I think some people are like, oh, you've got to be on social media. The brands demand it. I don't know if that's really true. First of all, just let New Balance handle her damn brand, her tweets, and just send out a couple tweets once or twice a month and do nothing personal on there. You'll still have followers, or have New Balance tweet it out. and just get off of it. Don't do it. Delete it off your phone. I mean, that's what Nick Willis said. You know, there's a great video about how to handle the pressure. Now, Nick grew up at the end of this era, obviously. You know, I mean, he grew up before this era, social media really took off. But he's like, look, when I would get to the Olympics, I just put my phone away. It was just me and my wife or me and my coach. And I realized, you know, whatever. So it's kind of crazy that when I watched that McLaughlin video, I was like, how could people not respect her? She's the world record holder and Olympic champions. So Sydney, if they're not respecting you, that's on them. That's not on you. But I hope that she learns to enjoy this because she's a magical talent. But, you know, it's crazy. And by the way, folks, I don't want to get this into a political rant, but there's racism on all sides. This proves that even black people discriminate against other black people based on how black or how white they are.
Well, one thing, Robert, she did say one of the lessons she's learned, and remember, she just turned 22 in August. You know, she's been in the spotlight for a long time, but she's only 22. So she said one of the things she's learned is to try to not let her other people's opinions determine her self-worth or let them influence her that much. And I think she deserves praise for she has lived up to everyone's expectations of her. At the age of 21, she had set the world record twice, including once in the Olympic final, and won 2 Olympic gold medals. She won a second on her 22nd birthday. That's what most athletes dream of accomplishing in their career, and she's done it by the age of 22. So it's pretty phenomenal. She's obviously got a very bright future, and I hope that it would be nice. I hope that she's working through this and that can emerge stronger mentally and physically because she's a tremendous talent and it's really fun to watch her race.
The Sydney thing's fascinating to me because she says she doesn't want the social media stuff, doesn't care about that. But then she releases this video on social media saying she's not respected enough, and not just by randos, but by family and friends. And she's a very religious person and talks about how she does it for God and Jesus. And I'm no theologian, but like ultimately anyone in sport, if you're doing it for the validation of others, that's not the right reason to do it. And she realizes that on one level and says that, but then at the same time is sort of like crying out, like, I'm not getting the respect I deserve. But I think she does, by and large, get the respect. The track and field people, we know she's amazing. I'm just going to play a clip about the respect.
I got back on social media for not being on for 3 or 4 weeks before the trials. I started getting anxiety because you look and you're looking at what everybody else is doing, what everyone else is posting, how many followers they have, and it physically makes you sick. I don't want that. I don't want the fame. I would just like a little bit of respect. We don't have to be best friends. You may not agree with my message, but in the sport, at the age of 21, to be a 2-time Olympian and a world record holder, I would just like a little bit of respect. Just a little bit.
I think she gets the respect. I don't know. But I remember reading something. I was trying to find this about some diver. He got like I feel like he didn't get the gold. He got a silver. And he went back home afterwards and his life was exactly the same. He thought it would radically change. And it just was like, wait, I've done my whole life for this. And that's what she's 21. I mean, that's crazy how young she is. She's crushing world records. And whatever happened wasn't what she thought was going to happen. But I think she's grounded. Hopefully with her faith and stuff, she can just keep a bigger perspective. But it's interesting that this whole thing is carried out on social media these days. But Noah Lyles talked about the pressure. Any psychologists out there want to be on the podcast and say, how can we help these athletes? Because we had, Noah Lyles publicly. People are speculating about Sha'Carri, what state of mind she's in. Simone Biles. I mean, like, these are the absolute stars at the top of the sport. A couple of them doing, as good as you can do. You can't do any better than she's doing. Yet after the Olympics, after she breaks another world record, she decides to release this video. It's just fascinating. But mental health, and I think it is directly related to social media, it's a huge problem for this generation that came of age with smartphones.
Well, I think she's good. She did it in person. I think it's a little strange she put social media. She doesn't want to be on social media, but she does on social media because that's the only way to reach people. And it sounds like it's the people closest to her. They're the ones that's the ones whose respect she wants. So screw them. You're hurting her. She's letting that known. I thought it was cool that she did it. But let's move on to some other things at Pre-Classic.